Hi, I'm Justin.
Also, I hate the way my voice sounds, so if you can do whatever Photoshop does to voices, make me sound awesome.
And this is my lovely friend,
The beauty in the eyes of the beholder, and it's just about getting into the seat of being the beholder.
Hayley.
I don't think you have to be particularly perceptive. I just think you have to look up.
This podcast is mostly just her telling me stories.
If you expose yourself to the possibility that this might be really awkward, there can be something just really cool on the other side of it.
She thinks that her life and way of looking at things are
Oh, I was kind of waiting on you. I thought you were getting your stuff ready. You're waiting on me?
pretty normal.
You got to edit out all the misinformation about the Amish.
Maybe you can relate.
I would like a chance to re-sing the Amish Paradise.
If you want lighthearted stories
All right, you want to talk about goats?
and stream of consciousness,
I just woke up and needed some friends, and so I bought them.
then you're gonna like the Sunny Side Up podcast.
Sunny side up, sunny side up, sunny side up, sunny side up.
So, if you're at all like me, you may feel that you're living in a world that can be a bit overwhelming and confusing at times. I'm also a huge fan of podcasts, documentaries, docudramas, stories, and of just information in general. Between all of that and the social media and news, sometimes our brains can feel like they're on overload. Hayley and I hope that this podcast can be something of an antidote to all of that. Like little jello shots of joy and distraction. None of it is too serious or really too informative. Mostly it's just two friends who have conversational chemistry talking about whatever enters the minds of relatively ADHD people. We hope you enjoy. Females have become more prevalent, and they're great drivers because women are typically more conscientious, follow rules better, blah blah blah. So yeah, that's actually really cool. I have a question on the whole GED/diploma thing, and I don't want everybody to game the system too hard, but I'm trying to think how many jobs in my life after I told them I had a diploma, I can't think of very many that ever asked me to go get it and prove it.
Yeah, right.
My question is, could you wander through life getting jobs and starting businesses and doing whatever, never having a GED or a diploma, and as long as you're able to function, like read, write, arithmetic, whatever, 3 R's at a decently proficient level, I'm not sure you need one.
I think, yeah, depending on the job that you're applying for.
Right, no, I know.
Some will ask to see a transcript, but probably...
Transcripts are college. I never went to college, so I know. No one ever asked for transcripts.
But even like a high school diploma, I mean, are they going to call and verify? I doubt it.
Yeah.
I never worked in HR, so I don't know. I don't know how prevalent the practice of calling and verifying those. Well, and I mostly
worked in like sketchy sales jobs, so they really don't care.
Yeah.
At all.
So you could probably.
And I feel like trucking might be the same. Yeah.
Trucking, they typically don't, like this one did, but I'm sure that there are so many that don't.
So they were going to verify this trucking company, you think?
She got this job probably by virtue of going through a CDL program at the school where she was getting her GED simultaneously earning her CDL.
Fair.
So that the moment that she finished, she had both certifications and was employable.
I love it.
Do other trucking companies require it? I don't know. But I would.
It's not required. Everybody requires it. It's
do they verify it?
And that's my big question.
I don't know.
Yeah. So here's the encouragement to the underachiever out there. If you don't have one, don't let that stop you from going for the job of your dreams.
Because
tell them
we've never been vetted.
We've never been vetted. And you've been to college.
Yeah, just lie.
Right.
If you're lacking in qualifications, just become a liar. That's how you overcome it.
Thank you. It seems like the cure to this is like, everybody wants the secret to life. Like, here's what the rich know that you don't know, or here's what doctors know that you don't know.
Life hack.
The life hack number 302.
Lie about it.
By Hayley. By the way, is this
my name's not going on that one. that one was not my advice.
She is distancing herself. This is Hayley rapidly backing away from this piece of terrible life advice. Is this the Hayley and Justin, the Justin and Hayley, the H and J or the J and H show
we need an alias for that, Jim.
For that terrible piece of advice.
So, yeah.
I'm pretty good at giving bad advice. Like, it's a gift.
I don't give bad advice. I'm just bad at giving advice.
Ooh, and that is
It's
a different. That there is
Yeah.
a subtle but significant difference there.
Yeah. What I finally...
What makes you bad at giving advice? Because I'm really good at giving bad advice, or just advice in general. Some of my advice is good.
Well, people are asking advice. What they're usually asking is, how do I stop this hurt that I'm feeling?
Right.
And so what I want to do is tell them how to stop the hurt that they're feeling. And that's not always the advice that they need. Like, I want people to feel better about...
So, like, I would say just eat, like, a lot of ice cream. And then what would yours be?
Probably eat a lot of ice cream.
Oh, but see, okay...
Which is maybe going to make you feel better, but it's not going to solve your problem. If your problem's money or lactose intolerance or weight gain or whatever.
If it's all three of those, that'd be
yeah.
That'd be
But like
advice.
the hard love, or I mean the tough love, the hard advice.
Yeah.
I would like to think that I'm good for that, but I'm not always good for that.
Do you tend to drift then into? Wait, what makes you bad at it?
I just don't like for people to struggle, and if I tell them something that's going to make them struggle worse, it makes
It's
me
hard. Oh, yeah.
it can make me feel bad. I worked in the law office for a hot minute, and that also was not my spiritual gift.
Yeah.
Algebra and legal things.
Yeah.
But there were no windows in the office, and that is part
That's
of what
hard.
I blame for that being a bad experience. But everybody that came in there had problems, and they were coming to see if I could help them solve their problems, which sounds like they're coming in there for advice, but they're not. They're coming in there for a hitman. Like, they're just trying to find like a gun for hire, not necessarily to commit crimes. I didn't do any criminal work, but they're coming in to say, I don't want your advice. I want you to fix all my troubles. Most of the time, their trouble is that they don't have enough money for whatever the situation is, or somebody wants their money for some other situation. It almost always comes down to not enough resources of some sort or the other. And so they come to the lawyer looking for that kind of help, and you can't get them exactly what it is that they need because the resource is limited to begin with. So even if you help the situation, it's not the extent of help that the person wanted. Plus, you have to charge for your assistance, and since you didn't give them exactly what they wanted, then they're bitter about having to pay you anything, and they're bitter about how much you expect, and you've already cut your fees because you feel guilty about whatever your hourly rate was, and so you didn't have any enemies before the situation began, right? You're just minding your own business in your windowless office. And then a person comes in with problems, and they're angry at somebody else, and you have to be their attorney against this other person. So that other person dislikes you. That other person's attorney sees you as an adversary. And then when the bill rolls in, even your client dislikes you. And so at the end of the day, you leave your windowless office with 3 people that you didn't even know at the start of the day now disliking you. And it's like every day you just exponentially more and more people adversarially against you. You could probably be an adoption lawyer, and maybe the experience would have been different, but just general...
What type of lawyer were you? Was it like criminal or...
No criminal
civil?
work. Very little litigation even. It was mostly what we would call chancery practice, which was like land disputes and some family and estate matters.
Yeah.
And I tried to avoid divorce law, but that is what...
Civil stuff is hard, man.
Yeah, tax law. Had some tax law. So most everything boiled down to a competition for resources.
Yeah.
I have some stuff and somebody else wants my stuff, or somebody else has the stuff that I want, or somebody thinks they have a right to it.
Yeah.
And how do we protect this asset? It was kind of negative. I wish I'd have just gotten a job at a bakery.
Yeah.
People don't come in there for sad reasons.
No, but I've heard from people who worked in actual bakeries that some people are really rude about how they want their cake. Like one of the guys I know who worked in a bakery, actually I think he still works in a bakery, he's like, some people are the nicest people ever, but other people like walk in and they'll like point and be like, I want you to make that for me. And they won't even like engage with him as a human being. They're just like pointing at stuff, treating him like somehow because he's in a bakery, he's a lesser than. So I feel like, I mean, I'm guessing that there probably is less negative experiences in the bakery than what you were developing this long list of people that were very adversarial to you. But I just wanted to stand up for the bakers in the world and say, I don't think
we
your job.
We recognize your plight.
Yeah. You're not without conflict as well.
No, that's true. I worked in a snow cone stand, and there's gripers everywhere. Okay. So I get you. I will bring my snow cone slinging experience to the table and say, in fact.
Did you bake your snow cones?
Did not actually bake a snow cone.
Okay.
Make a snow cone?
Well, I mean, we went from bakery to snow cone. I just wanted to figure out like how closely
food service.
Being a food service.
Just in general.
Like
exchanging a happy product in exchange for money. I guess that's where I was going.
I like that.
Like a snow cone generally is synonymous with like a happy experience.
Yeah. I feel like that's...
people will still complain about it.
Really? Like what? It's too cold? It doesn't...
Not enough juice, too much juice, it's messy, don't like this flavor. What do you mean this is watermelon? This doesn't taste like watermelon to me. You know, just any number of things. People are gonna people. People are gonna people.
Yeah, people are gonna people.
And I can handle that.
Yeah. Well, and I would think that, versus being in the law office, you probably...
There's just different levels of dissatisfaction that I was capable of absorbing. Yeah. And if you're unhappy with your snow cone, sorry about that.
Yeah.
And you can even be mildly rude about it. But
you're not going to carry a long-term grudge about a snow cone versus like if my brother and I are fighting over land and you charge me and you don't help me, now I'm like, Hayley's
even the product itself is negative. So at least in the snow cone industry, like the product is happy.
Yeah, that's fair.
But with the legal stuff, it was just problems. You're only dealing with problems all the time, and everybody else's problem. If you're
I just solved it.
Remotely empathetic, it becomes.
If you ever work in a windowless basement in a courthouse again, trying to be in untenable situations, put a snow cone stand in there, and when they're really unhappy, either sell them or potentially give them a snow cone and be like, I know you're having a bad day, buddy, fighting over this trust, but here's a snow cone. Like,
encourage them
with that happiness, and it could bring them around.
Yeah. No, and the windowless law office did actually also have the windowless basement, and do you know what we had in it?
Not snow cones?
Not a snow cone.
Okay.
Body parts in jars, right?
No.
Yes.
This is real?
Yeah. So the man that I worked for had this gigantic office, and the basement area was filled with these body parts in jars because he...
How does one acquire body parts in jars? Like, is he a serial killer and just wants to kind of show off bits and pieces of his work, or how does that work?
He was renting an office space to a man who was I just blanked on the name for the medical profession, but he took a lot of tissue samples and he did the test on it.
Okay.
So he stored his samples. He paid to store his samples in the basement, right? And so long after the doctor quits practicing and leaves, he just kind of forgot that he had all these samples down there in this basement, which we affectionately refer to as the dungeon.
As you should.
And the back door of the dungeon fronted into like an alley. Can a back door front to something? The back door opened to an alley, and these, like one night, these kids were just being vandalists. I don't know.
Right.
They enter the dungeon.
Yes.
Yeah, they broke into the dungeon.
That would.
Yeah, and they ran home and told their parents about all of these body parts and jars in the scary basement. And what a creeper my lawyer boss must have been to have all these body parts and jars. They were freaking out. And I think they ended up calling the police to come and check it out. And it's like, well, you just busted on yourself for trespassing. Right. Well done.
World's Dumbest Criminals.
Yeah, and then we had all this, like, lawfully held contractual agreement for all these body parts in jars.
I would have told these kids promptly, like, listen, you break in again, parts of you.
That's right, like a mafia threat.
Right, like you're just like, hey, listen.
You're next.
Yeah.
That's the last kid who broke into the dungeon.
You see how this goes. That's how you keep your law office safe.
They could need some therapy after that.
I mean, refer them.
Is a pathologist the person who would have been collecting those samples? I'm trying to remember what type of doctor it was, but that's...
Well, your
dermo something or other probably is in there, right? Because derm.
It wasn't skin. I don't remember.
Skin.
Yeah.
What's
And
tooth-
I didn't have the pleasure of disposing of the samples.
That would have been fun.
The CPA that worked with us actually was tasked with that, and she said it was terrible because some of the jars had busted over the years, and so you're like reaching in and just touching, and it kind of like when they open the mummy's tomb and the curse gets exposed, and you just think, what has been unleashed in this from into this law office of joys? But again, things that make you need therapy.
Yep.
Which I'm all about therapy. I'm all about therapy.
Yeah.
It is right up there with vitamins as difficult things to shop for. But the time that I did try, I was looking, and the closest thing to a helpful therapist that I could find in my particular area at that particular time was a guy who claimed to be a hypnotherapist.
Ooh, those are dangerous.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. And because
I'm not scared of much, but hypnotherapy scares me.
But I was also pretty desperate, so I was like, we'll give it a try. But I was not like unwitting about the danger, so I asked my sister-in-law to go with me because I didn't yet know about rape whistles that might have made me feel a lot better. So I just took her instead, and she sat outside the office.
But wait a minute, if you're under hypnosis, even if you have a rape whistle,
it would have been
I don't know
moot.
that would work.
You're exactly right. The impotent rape whistle. So I just asked my sister-in-law to go with me.
Fair.
And she sat outside the door, but it turned out I was not a good candidate for hypnotherapy. I could not disengage. I was like, nope, sorry, too uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So I didn't make a follow-up visit.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's the way it goes.
Hello, lovely friends. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. And it would mean the world if you would tell other people about this podcast and maybe even spam your social media accounts with just how much you're enjoying it. If you are, of course. Also, commenting and rating us on whatever platform you're downloading or streaming from is incredibly helpful to a little startup podcast like this one. On the other hand, if you are dissatisfied with your listening experience, please leave all of that hate on someone else's podcast. Just maybe to confuse them a little bit, right? But most of all, we hope you keep looking up and looking for the sunny side of life.